And we are back with another episode of the Work the Crowd podcast. As always, we are your host. I'm Dougie Fresh. The other guy, Jacob Klucas. Yes, as he said. All right, today's episode, we're going to talk NFL and NBA. Starting off, what the hell's going on with Shemar Stewart? Why is he not signing his contract? Bengals first-round pick. Second, we're going to get into a little bit of the Browns QB room and these early OTAs. We're going to talk about Stefan Diggs. Brother, what are we doing? And then finally, we're going to talk about the NBA and the face of it.
So, first of all, we're not going to start off with the NBA, but first of all, congratulations to the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Indiana Pacers. They will be playing in the NBA Finals starting on Thursday. So,
I think it should be a good series.
Real quick, we won't dive into it, but Doug, I'm going to go real quickly. I'm going to go Thunder probably in about 5 or 6.
I'm going to go Pacers in 6.
Wow. Okay. All righty. So, let's dive back to the NFL. So, what's going on with Shemar Stewart? And this more so is not have anything to do with what's going on with Shemar Stewart. It's what the hell are the Cincinnati Bengals doing? And so Shemar Stewart was the Bengals' first-round draft pick this past year, the edge rusher out of Texas A&M. He has not signed his contract yet, which is not necessarily anything to freak out about. There's about, I think, 5 or 6 of the first-rounders that haven't signed their contract just yet, Travis Hunter being one of them. But you know, what's going on? You know, why am I saying, well, what are the Bengals doing? Well, apparently the Bengals are trying, and this is the only information I have right now as far as details. They're trying to put a certain language in the contract that essentially affects his contract like later down the road. And so the way NBC Sports, they put it out here. They said the Bengals and Stewart are haggling over language regarding potential voiding of his future guarantees. The Bengals want to include a phrase that causes a default in the current year to trigger a default in all the remaining years. The problem is, and why I don't blame Shemar Stewart for not signing his contract just yet, is this language was not put in Armarius Mims' contract, who was the Bengals' first-round draft pick last year. And he was selected one spot below Shemar Stewart. Last year, he was taken 18th, Shemar Stewart taken 17th. This language was not put in Jamar Chase's new contract when he just signed this past season, or T. Higgins, who just signed one this offseason. So why all of a sudden are we wanting to put different language in a contract for a player? And this is a completely terrible look for the Cincinnati Bengals. I mean, what are we doing? You've already got the contract disputes going on with Trey Hendrickson. And first of all, the Bengals are well known for not wanting to pay their people to begin with. All right. It was actually quite eye-opening seeing the Bengals extend Jamar Chase and T. Higgins the way that they have so far. All right. So now we got this with a rookie, and you got all this contract dispute going on with Trey Hendrickson about Trey Hendrickson wants this amount. You don't want to pay him, whatever. But now you're doing this with a rookie. I mean, the Bengals are already, like we said, pretty bad with wanting to pay players to begin with. But if you don't think players for, potential future free agents, people like Joe Burrow and then Jamar Chase, when their contract does end up, like if you think they're not, and people just in the locker room in general, if you think they're not watching this happen with a rookie and taking notes and going, maybe we just won't re-sign when our contracts are done and we're just going to get the hell up out of here. Like, I don't understand what Cincinnati's issue is with contracts.
So question on this. If Shemar Stewart really didn't want to sign the contract,
he does not have to.
He can go be a free agent, right?
I don't know if he could be a free agent. I think he's still entitled to the team, but he just can't. I don't know exactly how that works.
Because he's a rookie, I'm wondering how that kind of plays out. That could be interesting if, his agent and Shemar doesn't like the verbiage in his contract. I'm wondering if he could be like, all right, I don't want to sign. I'll just go into the...
So here you go.
Okay.
If an NFL rookie drafted player does not sign their contract, they can refuse to play for the team that drafted them. They can then re-enter the draft the following year if they haven't signed. And if they don't want to sign again, they could potentially enter free agency. It's a rare occasion if they get to enter free agency. But players have been known to hold out or even re-enter the draft if they disagree with terms of their contract.
Yeah, he's going to be missing out on a lot of money. He should go ahead. They'll get that done. I mean, Cincinnati needs to figure their shit out.
But this is why, and we've said it with our team, the Colts. Teams that are stingy with money are the teams that don't win. Like, you've got to Now, you got to use your money like smart. Like, you got to be smart with your money, obviously. But you don't want to be so smart with it that you're stingy and you don't want to give it out. The Bengals have been blessed, to draft relatively pretty well. Why not keep homegrown talent that you found, that you drafted, and just keep them there? And, Trey Hendrickson wasn't one of those, but still, like, why not pay the guys that got you there? Now, again, I understand at certain points you're not going to overpay for players and just, 75% of your salary cap is going to be devoted to, 6 players. But at the same time, like, you gotta keep who you got at some point. So, I mean, that's just an ongoing issue. And then I mentioned Travis Hunter hasn't signed either, but they're not really having contract disputes. Their dispute more so is how is Travis Hunter going to get paid on his rookie deal playing both corner and wide receiver.
Yeah, that's gonna be interesting to see if he makes the receiver money or the corner money. Or do you just give him like
and look, Jacksonville's came out and said we plan on using him on both sides.
Right.
So, I mean, the way I would almost do it, I don't know if you can or not, is, what side of the ball do you plan on using him the most? Because the likelihood he's going to play 50-50 is very unlikely. It's going to be more, on the, 60-40, 70-30 side, where he's going to primarily play one side of the ball for the most part. And he's going to play both, but he's primarily going to be playing one side. I would just take listen, this, you're only going to play this amount of a percentage at, let's just say they go, you're primarily going to be a corner. You're only going to play, this percentage of a wide receiver. So we'll give you this percentage of what a wide receiver would make added on to, or, maybe not add on, but figure it out, within, there's got to be a way. But this was also this has also been a big dispute with running back, specifically with pass catching and running.
Right.
But we've never seen the flip side of this of defense and offense.
So I'm wondering if they could, contracts can be written and in pretty much in any way, shape, or form. I mean, words can be put on paper in pretty unique ways. So I think they could make this work. But I'm wondering if they could do something like where, because they get paid, I think they get paid weekly, like per game. I'm wondering if they say, all right, you were 70% corner, 30% receiver this game. You make like a certain that percentage on your paycheck. For
here's 70% of what a corner would make and 30% of what a wide receiver would make.
I mean, yeah, because they have to sign a certain year contract like for the years, right? But there can be verbiage in there to say
based on your percentages, it can be.
Yeah, here's this, and then maybe we can make some up in like a signing bonus or something like that. So contracts get pretty tricky. I'd be really curious to see what a real NFL contract looks like. That'd be kind of cool to see.
Yeah, just to be able to see the different, like, what do you have to hit to get certain bonuses and what do you
all that stuff. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's super long because nobody even talks about that when they're signing contracts. Like, but that's in everybody's. All those bonuses they can get.
Well, and that's the other thing with somebody like Travis Hunter, who they're going to play both sides and wants to play both sides. There's probably a number of games played.
That's probably
because they're going to be like, listen, you're adding more stress to your body. You get hurt.
That might be how they do that. That might be how they word it, where they say, all right, you have to play this amount of games as corner.
Or you have to have by the end of the year, you have to play this percentage of snaps at corner, this percentage of snaps at.
To make this money.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, could be.
Because like one game, they'd be like, well, we're going to just play me at corner.
Well, yeah.
They might do that for like matchup purposes. They might do that.
So, yeah, a lot of contract disputes going on with rookies specifically. But, I think it would be interesting because that I can recall, at least from a first round town, maybe there's been, fourth, fifth rounds that we just never really thought about that it's happened to. But I think it'd be interesting to see if Shemar Stewart just said, hey, gonna just not play and I'm gonna re-enter the draft next year and see what happens.
I think you'd be missing out on a lot of money. What would you do in the meantime?
You would be. Just consistently working out.
Yeah.
Make sure you're staying in shape.
I'm sure
the only problem with that is that more than likely, if you do that, he's probably not going first round again.
Right.
So that would be the only downfall.
Yeah, that's a big risk. There would have to be really a lot of bad blood there for someone to not sign their contract, I think.
No. We'll see. But again, if you don't think that Bengals players aren't watching this in the locker room with their contracts coming up, potential free agents and wanting to, thinking about Cincinnati just because Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase are there. Like, brother, they're having contract disputes with rookies. What do you think they're going to do with me? So yeah. So moving on, other things in the NFL. Let's talk a little bit about the Browns quarterback competition. And so from my understanding right now, from everything I've read, the depth chart as of today would read, and it would read Kenny Pickett as QB1, Joe Flacco QB2, Dylan Gabriel QB3, and Shedeur Sanders QB4. Now, the one thing I find funny out of all this is throughout all this Browns quarterback controversy, with what they have in the room, have we all just completely forgot that Deshaun Watson's still on the roster? Like, I'm not making my case that for Deshaun Watson, but like we've talked about only these four, and
they're still paying that man.
Deshaun Watson's still on the roster.
What are they going to do with him?
I don't know.
Because it's fully guaranteed. You can't cut him.
You can't cut him. You're going to be losing a shit ton of money.
Still got
the problem is with Deshaun Watson, you're going to have to like pray to God that somebody around the league, somebody in the NFL gets hurt, needs a quarterback, and they're just willing. They have a lot of cap space, and they're just willing to take Deshaun Watson off your hand.
I did forget about him.
So I took a little screenshot from the other day. This was on the Herd. So this was on the Herd the other day. This was from a Browns OTA camp. This was as of May 28th. They did some team drills, 7-on-7s and stuff. So these were how they finished. Joe Flacco, 9 of 14, had a touchdown. Shedeur Sanders, 7 of 9, had 3 touchdowns. Kenny Pickett, 9 of 16, no touchdowns. Dylan Gabriel, 11 of 16, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. But from what, obviously Brown's social media will let you see as well. From what I've seen, just from the way the ball, looks coming out of their hand, and, granted they're not playing, obviously they're in OTAs, you're not going hard, you're not really padded up just yet. Shedeur has looked like the best quarterback, and it's not really shocking to say that. But so far, he throws that one of the Browns coaches was quoted saying that the touch he has on the ball looks like the touch of a 10-year veteran. And so and yet he's still rated QB4. They did say on the 7-on-7 drills the other day, they did not let Shedeur participate. It was only Gabriel, Pickett, and Flacco that participated. But again, you can't really take much from OTAs. Again, you're not padded up. You're not going hard or anything like that. But just seeing simple stuff of Shedeur going 7 of 9 and 3 touchdowns and 9 total passes. I don't think it's going to take long for Shedeur to win this QB competition.
So you think the Browns will have 4 quarterbacks on their bench during the season?
Yeah. There's going to be, listen, if they go, I think for no matter what, and unless Shedeur just comes into actual, summer practice at the very beginning when they start padding up and everything, if he comes in and just starts lighting it up, I think there's not a chance in hell that where Kenny Pickett doesn't start week 1 for the Cleveland Browns. So
I'd be more interested to see the Gabriel Shedeur depth chart piece.
But if you look at the Browns' first couple games on the season, so they open up with the Bengals, which again, they are going to 100% play. Their opening schedule is very brutal. Okay. So they play the Bengals week 1. And like I said, I think Kenny Pickett is going to start week 1. Then you go to Baltimore, week 2. Week 3, you're at home against Green Bay. Week 4, you're at Detroit. Week 5, you're at home against the Vikings. Week 6, you're at Pittsburgh. Week 7, you have the Dolphins at home. And then week 8, you're at New England before your bye week. I think if I'm looking at it, you're not going to throw Shedeur into any of these tough games right away. I don't think. I think between weeks 1 through 8, you're going to see the combination of Pickett and Flacco for the most part. Now, the Dolphins, I do agree, depending on how the Dolphins look at that point, you could maybe look at that game and go, this might be the perfect game to get him going, get some, get him into a home game for 1, 2, let's get him 2, actual real games in before the bye week, and we'll, readjust during the bye and look.
Get a week to plan and then come back.
Yeah, because then you come back, and while it's not the greatest, you come back and I won't say home and away just to save time here, but you go Jets, Ravens, Raiders, Niners, Titans. Like you've got a couple games in there where you can, start to really ease him in. So I think by week 7, week 8, if not, then that Jets game off the bye, we could see Shedeur come in. And if Shedeur comes in by then, let me see. When is NFL trade deadline? So the trade deadline is November 5th. So that bye week they would have. So if the Browns by that week 7, week 8, that Dolphins Patriots, if they decided they're going to Shedeur, I'd expect a lot of teams to be on the phone calling about Dylan Gabriel, maybe Kenny Pickett, depending on how certain teams look if they just absolutely need a quarterback. So, and that's a question I've had on. If you're the Colts, it's not ideal, but if Richardson has just stunk it up until week 5, week 6. You've given Daniel Jones a chance. We know what Daniel Jones is. We just say Daniel Jones is Daniel Jones. If that week 9 or that week 8, you see that the Browns are either leaning towards or going to Shedeur, do you call them about Gabriel maybe and just say, hey, we take a flyer on it and try?
I don't know. I mean, they did draft Riley Leonard too. Yeah, I know he's not like.
But I think quite. I mean, obviously the Browns would never make I won't say never. Usually, you would not make an in division trade, so I wouldn't see like them wanting to deal any of their quarterbacks to like Pittsburgh. But I mean, I'm just looking at teams that could be, barring injury, could be on that market looking for one. I mean, it just you've got the Steelers, but again, you wouldn't want to make a trade. Saints, if God forbid, unless they're just going all in on the tank. Giants, if Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston hasn't worked out and they just want to say, hey, we'll take Kenny Pickett for the rest of the year because we don't want to necessarily just roll out Jackson Dart just yet. I don't know. I think, and then again, we still have Deshaun Watson in the room. So that's making $235 million. So
Deshaun's there purely to show them where the best massage parlors are. That's clearly what he's there for.
Yeah. He's $230 million guaranteed contract. So his cap hit in 2025 is $35.9 million.
Dude, nothing. That man has the best agent ever. Freaking Browns, dude. They're the dumbest thing they could have done.
Yeah. So, again, I just think it's funny. And now let's talk about Stefan Diggs. Brother, what the hell are you doing?
Social media is a bitch, dude.
So, for everybody that doesn't know, Stefan Diggs is now currently dating, I'm pretty sure messing around with, whatever you want to call it, with Cardi B.
Mm-hmm.
They were on a boat over the last week, I guess. We'll just say, because it wasn't the weekend, it was last week. And there was a video that went viral of the video more so was the funniest part is the video wasn't even pointing out what everybody noticed. The video was just pointing out that Stefan Diggs was, quote unquote, flirting with 3 other females on the boat while Cardi B was on the boat. Right. That's what the video was pointing out originally. All for every social media detective in the world to see at some point in the video, Stefan Diggs pulls out this little like pink baggie.
Uh-huh.
And the speculation is that the man is just carrying around some coke.
Well, some sort of fun drugs.
So we won't speculate at the exact drug, but it is a drug. We'll just say more than likely.
Right.
So now that leaves the question on the table. If you're the Patriots, what do you do? The Patriots are obviously hurting for a wide receiver. If you just take Stefan Diggs out of that wide receiver room right now, which is basically what they were last year, you're talking a wide receiver room that has Demario Douglas, Kyle Williams, Kayshon Boutte, Mac Hollins, and Kendrick Bourne in it. Yeah, exactly. So
Demario Douglas wasn't.
He's not bad, but
he's all right.
And Kayshon Boutte was fine at the end of the year. And, Kyle Williams was a rookie coming in who I'm high on. But still, like, you're Mike Vrabel. I almost think you have to cut him. If you find out that it was some kind of drugs, I feel like you have to.
If there's investigation going on the NFL side, whether that's with the Patriots or the NFL's organization,
the Patriots are I don't know if the NFL will actually dig into it. The Patriots definitely will.
If they find out, yes, okay,
it's some sort of drug,
and their people know about it, and they can't hide it. They can't sweep it under the rug.
Yeah,
they at least could suspend him.
Yeah, I think a suspension is more likely.
Right.
But the only reason I had said you cut him is because if you're Mike Vrabel, you're trying to set the standard, set the culture
right
in New England as a new coach. And listen, it's
your number one receiver.
Yeah, and listen, it sucks, but nobody's above the law.
I mean, I get it.
Now, do I think if they find out about it, like I said, is a suspension more than likely? Probably. I think you see a 2-3 game suspension.
I feel like we would have already seen something about this, though.
I think it's because there's so much of an unknown that there's just nothing out for it yet. So
internet's undefeated, dude. You gotta just think someone is recording you at all times, especially as high profile as an NFL athlete, especially and with who Stefan Diggs is with now. They probably had a good time though on the boat.
So
looked like fun.
According to this, it says, and this is from Mike Florio. So they were asking him on NBC Sports. They went into Stefan Diggs' contract. Like, what could the Patriots do, like, contractually?
Right, if he voided something.
So it says Florio points out that Patriots may have a few avenues that they could address through his clause in a contract. First, any guarantees are contingent on Diggs passing a physical because he tore his ACL last year. So it stands to reason that he has not been physically cleared yet to play just yet. Another clause focuses on a pre-existing conditions that could help the team avoid paying a $10.6 million of his remaining $12.6 of guarantees following the first $4 million installation of Diggs' signing bonus. Two decisions could be challenged with a grievance by Diggs, and that's something that like we saw with Antonio Brown. But lastly, Florio points out two areas of the contract that deal with the default language of the contract and provision, stipulating that Diggs would not participate in any conduct or activity that is illegal, unlawful, or immoral. With a league suspension unlikely, it would be hard to prove that Diggs defaulted, and the Patriots would have to prove what the pink powder is in order to determine if Diggs' activity was illegal, and that doesn't appear to be a likely option. Ultimately, the team may just dismiss the situation altogether and hold on to their new receiver. If they do decide, though, that they'd like to move on, it appears that there are some avenues that the Patriots could explore to not pay him his contract, like his full contract.
I think you give him. Vrabel brings him in, sits him down, like, dude, what are you doing? I'm trying to build.
Like, what are we like? I'd sit him down and be like, brother, are you wanting to be a football player or you want to be a celebrity? Like, which is it? You know,
right.
So we'll see. I want to see Stefan Diggs with the Patriots because I want to see Drake May with I mean, he's an aging number one, but Drake May with an actual like receiver. And I think the Patriots are one of the teams that we see every year that jump from make that huge jump, and I think the Patriots could be one of those teams this year.
Oh yeah,
but I mean, again, suspension or not, Diggs, what are we doing?
Yeah.
You can't put your and it's been Stefan Diggs has been in the league long enough to know this. So like you just can't put yourself in these situations. And you have to know no matter where you're at, there are cameras following you everywhere.
Everybody's got a phone, dude. Everybody's got an iPhone out there.
So, all right, moving on to the NBA side of things. We did a quick at the beginning finals prediction. So there's that. But let's talk about a topic of conversation that's been going on for a while now in the face of the NBA. And everybody's worried about who is going to be the face, after LeBron and Steph are gone. Because right now, until LeBron and Steph essentially retire, they are the face of the NBA. And so that, it's been the question of who's going to take the mantle from there, who's going to take it over. And the media has wanted it to be Anthony Edwards. But the problem is, with being the face of the league, there's a lot of qualities that go into that, and winning happens to be one of them. And yes, Ant has been to back-to-back conference finals, but has been damn near swept in both of them. Do I think Ant has potential to be, face of the NBA? Yeah. Do I think we need to pump the brakes on just crowning him face of the league? Yeah. So now that poses, all right, who is it? Is it Shea? Is it Jokic? Is it Giannis? Before I go into who I think it will be, Doug, what are your thoughts?
See, this is kind of a weird time. Like, LeBron's been in the league for so long, and it was right after Jordan retired in 2002 or whatever it was, 2002 or whatever. So I mean, LeBron pretty much was. I mean, he was the face. I mean, he was the.
So I would say
one, right? I mean,
yeah, I would say in our lifetime, the faces of the NBA has been. We were at the tail end of Jordan.
Jordan.
So there's
Kobe.
been Jordan. Then it was Kobe and Shaq.
Right.
Then it was LeBron and then Steph.
But then like Steph and LeBron kind of like did it together almost.
Yeah, they're doing it. They're doing just like Kobe and Shaq did it together.
Shaq. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then LeBron was on his way up.
Yeah, the face of the league doesn't have to be just one person. Like it can be two. I don't think you can just say it's this group of 5, but it can be.
Yeah, the thing like with Kobe and Shaq was that they were just so good together and so fun to watch. I mean that was pretty unique. Yeah. But I think after LeBron's done, Steph will still be around, and Steph will do Steph things for a little bit longer. I think
I don't know. I'm not saying that, and I doubt it. But that trajectory that LeBron's on, I mean, we don't. For all we know, Steph may retire before LeBron.
I'm pretty sure LeBron announced he's retiring, right?
No, that was not real.
Are you sure? I just Googled it. Maybe it wasn't.
Yeah, no. So real quick, and Doug, I guess fell for this too.
It would make sense for him to retire after next season or after this next season.
Yeah, he's not. So,
okay, let's just, regardless of the fact.
Yeah.
Even if LeBron doesn't retire, he's kind of on the down slope anyway. He's almost done. It's kind of like where Jordan was, like when LeBron was coming up. I think this is a weird situation only because there's not that one person that was that dominant. Like, I guess Jokic would be the closest thing, but I just don't see him being the face of the league. It's not like his personality.
Yeah, you got to have the personality to do it.
To me, I think the face of the league could be Ant. He has the personality for it. I mean, he's a pretty damn good player. To me, I think that could be your next, face, whatever that means. It's different. I'm sure it's different for everybody, but it could just be a combination of Shea, Jokic, Ant, all those guys. I don't know.
So my thing is with the face of the league, there's a lot of different stuff. Listen, Kendrick Perkins saying the other day, part of the qualifications of being a face of the NBA is being a family man and stuff. Yeah, that I don't.
Yeah, because he was saying that Ant couldn't do that because he's
got
an odd
I don't.
situation.
I mean, I don't care what you're doing at home, to be honest. Now, obviously, I don't want you in all kinds of allegations, obviously, but
Jordan had all kinds of weird shit going on.
Yeah, but just not having a wife and kids, I don't care. So with the face of the league, we said, obviously Jordan, Shaq, Kobe, Bron, Steph. There's always been those kind of like secondary people where we kind of said, they're kind of like, like AI. AI changed a lot in the NBA with, dress code, ball handling and stuff like that. But was never the face of the league. Tim Duncan was obviously really good, but he just never had the personality to be the face of the league.
I think that matters a lot.
Yeah, you have to have the personality. Dirk obviously was really good, but was never good enough to be face of the league. But, and KD, same way. KD's personalities kind of hurt him from being face of the league.
Well, and LeBron and Steph.
Well, yeah. But, so here's another qualification that I like to think about when I'm thinking face of the league, right? So we used to, me and you, and then our friend group, but we used to do, yearly like NBA trips, like where we would try to go to Indiana. We would, just because the Pacers are the closest one to us, we'd go to a Pacers game and, like try to find, specific teams coming into town that we'd want to go see. I think that's a qualification for face of the league. I should feel like I have to see you play in person. Like LeBron, like I feel like, obviously with, you being surrounded with people like me and Brandon and Matt, who are LeBron, fanatics, we're always going to want to go see LeBron. But LeBron is still one of those people like where you're like, I have to go see him. He's in town. Yeah. Like he's in town, have to go see him. Steph Curry, he's in town, have to go see him. I don't feel that way about Anthony Edwards.
I don't feel like that.
I don't feel like that with Jokic. I don't feel like that with Shea. I don't feel like that with Giannis. Yeah, now, there's a difference in, do I want to see these players in terms of just to say I saw them? Yeah. But it's not I have to see them feeling.
People used to come from China to watch Kobe play.
Yeah.
Nobody's doing that with.
There is one player in the NBA currently that fits the feel like I have to go see him. But he's got to figure out everything else, and it's Wemby. I feel like Wemby's got that aura around him where it's like he's in town. Wow, we gotta go see him.
7'6",
yeah,
and doing all this. Yeah,
and,
for sure.
But he's gonna have to put together the winning part of it. I feel like Wemby's got the personality on the. We just got to see it a little bit more. But he's obviously got the game. He's got. We're gonna see a little bit more of the personality as they probably pick it up, start winning a little bit more. But I think Wemby is our best chance. And I know everybody's big thing is they don't want, a non-American essentially to be the face of the NBA. But with the way basketball's gone and everything, like, sorry, there's in the top 10, there's more non-American players than there is American. Like, so Wemby to me has that quality of I have to go see him play. The one thing I didn't like is somebody brought up they were talking about this. They said, I feel like Wemby, we have to go see him play. He was selling out summer leagues and everything, and I was like, well, hold on. I was like, Bronny was selling out summer league too. We're not even going to consider Bronny face of the NBA. Lonzo Ball was selling out summer league. We weren't going to talk about Lonzo as face of the NBA. Now, there could have been a potential with Lonzo, but obviously injuries, everything else has just destroyed him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's Wemby. I think Ant has potential, obviously, to do it. Here's the other thing that people aren't realizing with face of the NBA as well. You're not going to do it in Minnesota.
Oh, it has to be definitely
you have to be in a big market. All right.
Yeah.
And your big markets in the NBA are any of the New York teams. I know Brooklyn sucks, but that's a big market, So any of your New York teams, Boston, LA. I feel like with LA, it's a little bit different. I feel like you got to be with the Lakers. The Clippers just don't have the same. So, I mean, if you want to make the argument, then only Knicks, sure. So we'll go Knicks, Celtics, Lakers, Miami.
Yeah, Heat.
Chicago, still a big market. Dallas is probably the biggest market in Texas, I would say.
Steph was the outlier.
But that's because Golden State became huge, and that was basketball and other reasons. I mean, Silicon Valley kind of.
Now, yeah, that's true. I mean, I guess the city-wise, it was pretty big, but
Silicon Valley becoming as big as it was, that kind of helped, propel that into a big market as well. But Golden State's a big market.
So you think because Wemby plays for San Antonio, that kind of hurts him a little bit for that type of
thing? Maybe. Now, the outlier would be if he starts winning like a lot, then we could probably look past that. And San Antonio is kind of still a big market because of what Tim Duncan and Pop and all them did. So they're still a relatively big market. It's bigger than
a lot of history.
It's bigger than Milwaukee. It's bigger than Denver. So, but yeah, because it has a lot of history, it's still a relatively big market. I would just say only Dallas has a bigger market, only because it's
it's
Dallas.
Yeah,
but yeah, you got to get to a big market. I would still say, I mean, it's not a big market NBA wise, but just like Atlanta too, just being in a bigger city, which I've always said could be a potential for Anthony Edwards because he's from Georgia. But yeah, to be the face of the league, you got to be on these bigger. You got to be on these bigger teams. You go through the list of face of the NBA's. Steph Curry, Golden State, LeBron, Miami. Went to Miami. Yeah, made his living pretty much in Cleveland for the most part, but went to Miami.
He went to Miami.
That's when it became. Yeah,
that took him into the next.
And then now, obviously, with the Lakers,
yeah,
Steph, Kobe and Shaq with Lakers, Miami, and then Shaq with Miami, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Jordan, Chicago, Magic, Bird, Boston, LA. I would say, you go back, even further, Kareem, LA, but I wouldn't even say Kareem was ever really the face of the league because of Magic. That's just because of Magic. But like Dr. J, I would say at some point was probably a face of the NBA just because of the ABA NBA merger. Like he played in Philadelphia and Brooklyn. Like, so Philly, another add them to a big market. But I feel like you have to be on a big market team to also help with your face of the league cause because sorry, it's no disrespect to Minnesota, OKC, Denver, any of that, but they're not big market teams to move and really do much. So for me, you have to have the game, you have to have the personality, you have to have winning, you have to win, and then you have to have that we have to go see you factor, and then you have to be in a somewhat big market for me.
Yeah. So I just looked at in CNBC's top NBA evaluations, the team's worth, pretty much. So I'm going to give you the top 10 here. Basically, you pretty much named almost all these teams anyway. But 10 was Dallas at $5 billion. That's their value. Miami Heat was at 9 with 5.1. Clippers at 5.4. The Celtics at 5.5. Brooklyn at 5.6. Houston at 5.7.
Also, so Houston's the big market in Texas.
Yeah, so that one kind of shocked me. That was the only one that pretty much shocked me. 4, so that was 5. 4 is Chicago at 5.8. Now here's where the jump is. So all of those, like the top 10, are within all in the 5s. Like the top 10 to 4 is all within the 5s. Here's what the jump is to $7 billion from 5.8, and that's the Lakers. And then to $7.5 billion is the Knicks. And then this is really shocking to me. I mean, I guess not now, but like the jump they did is Golden State's number 1 at $9.4 billion. That's wild to me. I mean, I know it's a lot of Silicon Valley money and it's in a good area, but
yeah,
to go from where they were like 15 years ago, that's wild.
And listen, I'm not going to say that you have to be in a big market, because you could be an outlier that completely changes that. Like LeBron completely changed how the Cavs are looked at,
Yeah, let's see where Cleveland is now. I mean, Cleveland's still 15.
Yeah, I mean,
that's still
Steph doing what he did for Golden State. There's some outliers, but
you want to take a guess what the last one is?
The worst one? It's got to be like Utah or Charlotte.
Charlotte's close. Utah is 20.
Okay, so let's do
Pacers in the NBA Finals right now. They're 26, just because I guess Indy's
let's go
football more than basketball.
Let's say I'm gonna go either Wizards or Trailblazers.
So the Wizards are actually 17. And they, this is money. And then what'd you say in the
Trailblazers?
Trailblazers they're 22.
All right. So then my last guess before I'll just tell you to give it to me would be the Pelicans.
Pelicans are 28.
Okay. So who's dead last?
Memphis. So there's 30, right?
Yeah, 30 NBA teams.
Okay. Just making sure that like this website wasn't crazy. Yeah. So Memphis is last at 3.2 billion. And then Minnesota's right above them at 29.
Yeah, see, it's not moving.
So like your John Morant, your Ants, and this type of thing just doesn't make sense. But now San Antonio, where are they? Oh, they're 21st. I mean, middle of the pack. I mean, it's close to the middle of the pack. I don't know. Yeah. Maybe Golden State needs to bring somebody there when Steph leaves.
Yeah, I mean, you got to capitalize on it.
Or is it like Luka? Luka ends up being himself when LeBron retires.
I mean, it could be. I mean, it makes sense because he's already in LA, but he's going to have to start. But we've already dived into this. You got to start taking like basketball a little bit more seriously.
I think he is. I mean,
well, from the pictures you've seen so far, I mean, he looks like he's already slimming down.
I'm sure LeBron's like, dude.
I think I saw it.
Get your shit together.
It was so. For one, Luka was just on LeBron's podcast. So this week's episode was Luka, LeBron, and Steve Nash. But I think I saw a thing. It said it was Luka, asking LeBron about, his, what he does, how he eats and everything, and going through all this. And he said the most shocking thing that I found out is that LeBron James has not had a burger in 15 years.
How true do we think that is?
Probably not. I mean, listen.
Like he says he reads all them books for the games. Come on.
Yeah, and that motherfucker's never left off chapter 1.
He brought that up on Pat McAfee. Pat McAfee was like, dude, you ain't reading all the books before the game.
Yeah, no. But, I mean.
And maybe. I mean, diet is one of those things that for someone to play as long as he has.
Well, and especially, I think LeBron's on that doesn't eat red meat. So the burger thing could be real.
He's on that Tom Brady diet.
Yeah. So, I mean. He could not, but I mean, he's probably, eating like veggie burgers and stuff.
Yeah, those don't count. Has to be red.
But yeah, but I mean, it could be.
You're telling me he don't eat a steak? Ugh.
Hey, listen, it's worked for him. So
yeah, but I think
it worked for Brady too.
I think if you had a steak, it'd be all right.
One's not going to kill you, brother.
Well, I think at this age, especially at this age.
Well, now if he eats one, it probably would affect his body.
Yeah, he does have to. And Brady didn't do all this stuff until he was older either. So yes, when you start getting into that later 30s and then to your 40s, yeah, you for sure need to watch your diet, especially to perform at the level that they want. So, I mean, LeBron's, I don't want to get off a tangent, but LeBron's longevity alone is insane. The fact that he's doing this at year 1,000 is wild.
Yeah. What he's doing at age 41 is wild.
At the level he's playing is the kicker there.
But yeah. So, like I said, I think face of the league right now is either, Wemby, potentially Ant, or it's just somebody we haven't seen yet. So we'll see. Could be Luka, but we'll see.
Sense.
So yeah, that's who I've got.
All
so
right.
Well, Doug, do you have anything else to add on here at the end?
No, I think we're good.
All right, guys. Well, like, comment, subscribe. Doesn't cost anything to hit that subscribe button. And be sure to be on the lookout for, obviously, this episode, shorts that come from this episode as well. That being said,
peace. See you guys.